This morning I'm going to share with you 5 ways in which you can grow your landscaping for little to no money. Tip number 1, get some shared plants from friends and family. If you see something in their yard that you're interested in, ask them if you can have some the next time they plan to divide the plant. The thing with perennials is every few years they get really large and you do have to divide them to keep them thriving. So here I have this ornamental grass that was shared with me by my sister-in-law and brother-in-law maybe about 6 years ago. At this point, I have about 6 throughout my gardens, and I've also been able to share it with other friends along the way. Right below it, you see some rudbeckia that was also shared with me by them, and this black-eyed Susan just thrives all summer long, and it's such a beautiful plant, and it blooms well into fall. Here's some more of that beautiful black-eyed Susan. So as you can see, this plant just multiplies and multiplies, which makes it great for sharing plant. This garden phlox was another share. It's about 3 feet tall at this point. This is an old-fashioned garden phlox, and I have some here and some here. It's another one that also spreads fairly quickly and adds a nice pop of color in your flower beds. Here's some more of those grasses planted along the side of our house. This iris here was another divided plant that was given to us by a friend. And iris is one of those plants that just gives and gives, so it's a great shareable plant. A few other varieties would be daylilies, black-eyed Susan, as I showed you earlier, hosta. People are always willing to share their hosta. These are just plants that grow quickly and abundantly and are always great share plants. Autumn joy sedum, another share. It's getting big enough now where I can divide it this fall into 2 plants and put them in another spot in the garden. Here's another variety of sedum that was shared with us. This one is a dark burgundy foliage with these little florets that turn fuchsia the closer we get to fall. Heuchera, also known as coral bells. This one was also shared with us by that neighbor who gave us the autumn joy sedum. I started with 1 plant and it's now multiplied to about 6. I have 3 in my own yard and I've passed some along to my mom as well. And lastly, on the list of share plants that I have throughout my garden is hosta. These grow like weeds, but a pretty weed. And so people are always willing to get rid of some of these, and they do great in shade and woodland gardens. Not only can you get plants, but you can also get fruit trees. Here I have a fig tree that was given to me by my brother-in-law, and it's now putting on a bunch of baby figs. So don't be afraid to ask. If you see something in someone else's yard that you like, see if they'd be willing to share a little bit with you. Tip number 2, start things from seed. So here I have some plants that I've started from seed. All you need is either some styrofoam cups or some recycled plant containers, a bag of some potting or seed starting mix, and packets of seeds. I probably paid $1.50 for a packet of the seed, and I have about 6 plants here. This is a type of dianthus. It's called maiden pinks. They make a great border flower, and these have grown so much that I can actually divide these and have 2 plants from each can. So all started from seed, and all you need is a little patience, regular watering, and some sunlight. You can also grow them under artificial lights. They sell some of those lights on Amazon if that's something that you're interested in. Here are some more seed starts. These were all started from seeds, and then once they get big enough, you can divide them into other containers and eventually plant them out in your gardens. I have some delphinium, some bee balm, some columbine, some echinacea or coneflower. You can see the date I sowed that on was 5/22, and they're now just small plants, some lupin, and some perennial poppies. In addition to seeds, you can also start things from bare root bulbs. In the spring, Lowe's was trying to get rid of their spring bulbs. I was able to pick up 4 new peony varieties via those bulbs. Each bag was $7.50, or around $7 rather, marked down half off, so I paid about $3.50 for each one of these. So I have a peony sorbet, Dr. Alexander Fleming, a Shirley Temple, and a Felix Kraus. And so now for about $14, which is less than the cost of 1 peony plant, at the nursery. I now have 4 plants that I'm going to plant out this fall. And the next way that you can do this by getting plant cuttings. So if you grab some cuttings from plants that you enjoy already in your garden, or from something that you might see in a friend's garden, you just take some cuttings. There are some plants that you can do this with. You'd of course have to research if the plant that you're interested in is able to grow via a cutting. Throw it in some dirt, and before you know it, you have another plant. This one here is a variety of Spirea, Magic Carpet. This is a great performer. If you want some colored shrubs in your beds, I highly suggest this one. It starts off with this like pretty chartreuse green, and then it puts out these little florets in this color of pink. And then you also get this reddish color, and it turns all red in the fall. And again, in the spring, when they first start to leaf out, it goes from that reddish color to the chartreuse green. Very pretty and very good garden performing shrub. So I started this from some cuttings from my own shrubs, and now I have at least 3 new plants that I can plant somewhere else. I also did the same thing with a hydrangea. Took a cutting, stuck it in some dirt, it took root, and now I have another plant. So tip number 2, start things from seed, bare root bulbs, or cuttings. Tip number 3, buy on clearance. My favorite place as of recent to buy clearance plants is at Lowe's. I find they have a much better selection than Home Depot. And so I went in there recently. I picked up some of these Swift Deep Rose Salvia. They were $6.98 originally, and I bought them for $3. So less than half price. I got 3 of them. So the key with these, when you're picking out clearance plants, is you want to make sure they have some green coming out beneath all of the dried up dead growth. Because if they do, then that's a promise that they're going to be a plant that can thrive. So you want to just cut down all that dead growth, water them, give them some sun, or whatever their light requirements are. And before you know it, you have your plant back to life. Okay, so this is a great way. So I paid $9 for 3 of these. Another one that I picked up recently is this Astilbe. So this is a great shade type plant. I'm going to put it in my woodland garden. It gets these pretty furry plumes that come in colors of pink, red, and white. And this one was originally $14.98, and I paid $5 for it. And it's a nice big plant. I also got this fountain grass. It's a purple fountain grass. It was marked down to $1. The tag's not in here anymore, but it was $1. And so I could tell that there was some new growth coming in. You can see some of the new green, and it had potential. So I picked this up, threw it in this pot with some new potting soil. I've been watering it, and my hope is that it's going to bush out, and then given that it's a perennial, meaning it comes back every year, I'll be able to put it somewhere else in my yard and enjoy it. It gets these beautiful purple plumes that come out. So really good looking ornamental grass. In addition to Lowe's, Walmart also has a garden center. And at this time of year, it's about August now, we're getting to the end of the summer garden season for them. And so they're starting to mark down all of their plants as well. I found some good things there over the last couple of years, but this is a really good find. These are endless summer hydrangeas, and they're originally $29 and change each, so about $30. And I bought both of these for $14.87 each. And these are a perennial shrub, so they're going to come back every year. And look at this. There's new growth in there. So these things are still really good, healthy plants. So that was definitely a score. Some more clearance plants. Again from Lowe's. Let's see if I can get it to focus. These are tiny diamond Asiatic lilies, and they're a shade of pink. And I got 3 of these for $3 each. Tip number 4, go to garden fairs and plant sales. So every year in the spring and in the fall, you're going to start seeing, if you join on Facebook, find some plant sale and swap groups. And what's going to happen is they'll start announcing that they're going to have plant sales. So in my town, for example, every year in the spring, around Memorial Day weekend, they have a plant sale that's put on by our local Gardeners Association. The great thing about these sales is that most of the time what they do is they take divisions from their own yards of established plants, pop them up, and sell them for super cheap. So I pretty much got 6 new plants at the garden fair this year for about 20 bucks. Can't beat that. I got some iris, some European ginger, some anemone that's about to bloom. So really, this is a great way to get some inexpensive plants. Go to those plant sales, go to those garden fairs, find out about them on Facebook, join some groups, and this is a great way to buy some plants very inexpensively. And my 5th and final tip for growing your garden on limited money or next to no money is to just let the plants that you already have self-seed themselves. So what that means is when you have plants such as these, here I have some purple balloon flower and some pink coneflower. These will eventually dry out and get some seed heads, okay? And what you can do is you can either let them drop or you can deadhead the plant. You have to be careful. If you do want to control the amount of plants that self-start, you want to deadhead them. Otherwise, you end up with plant babies everywhere. But if you want to grow your garden, this is a great way to do it. You just let the seed heads dry out. Eventually, the seeds will drop. Or you let these dry out in the fall, and then you kind of, sprinkle them around when they're dried up, and then you'll get a bunch of little plant babies popping up everywhere. Those are great that you can use them to either put them in other places in your garden, or you can share them with other gardeners for plants that they have that you want in your own space. Here I have some purple balloon flower babies that self-seeded, and I like them a lot, so I kind of just let them go. But if they show up in places that you don't want them, you can very easily just pull them up. And here you can see some pink coneflowers that also sort of popped up along the garden bed. And I like the way they look, so I just left them. But you could very easily pull them up and move them to another location if you wanted to. So hopefully these tips were helpful. Thank you.